You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I am finally broadcasting, not from behind enemy lines in occupied California, always spelled with a K, but in an actual free state. Please note, I'm talking to you. What you're going to hear tonight consists of my opinion and no one else's, perhaps those of my guest, who tonight is going to be Kari Baxter Donovan, one each. And I want to remind you that tonight is Thursday. It's September 12th, the year of our Lord 2024. I am BZ. So I want to tell you this. Come on into the saloon, relax, converse, where we are still serving stiff drinks. Facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, tradition, intent, and common sense. Please recall, we don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversation. Politics, religion, crime, culture, race, sex, economics, science, law. We talk about it all right here in the saloon where the speech is free. But the booze, senor, she is not. I am primarily done with compromise and bipartisanship. I've been labeled everything from a terrorist to a misogynist to an extremist to a white supremacist ad nauseum. These people think they're insulting me. I've been insulted and shot at by professionals, and most of you other assholes are not. Sorry, that's the way it works. So if loving God, if loving my country, if loving the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, due process, malum in se versus malum prohibitum, if that makes me a terrorist, then so be it. When we can no longer access freedom in America, where can we find it? Are we going to find it in France, in Germany, in Europe, in China, in Russia? I don't believe so. Well, tonight in the saloon, we have Kari Baxter Donovan, who's writing now at the War Room, thewarroom.org. But the interesting thing is, I want to show you guys this. I want to tell you before we get to Kari, a lot of things are changing at SHR. And the things that are changing are our new site. Sean Lewis has come back, and he has decided that he's going to update shrmedia.com. It's not you. If you go to shrmedia.com, you're not going to go to the old website. You will go to this new website, and it's pretty fabulous. You've got all the various places that you can go to on top. BZ's Den. I didn't know I have a den, but apparently I do now. The Reaver of Common Sense. He is back too. Sean has his own page, Media About, and you can go through here and you can see all the various posts that Sean has done. And we will get it to the point very soon. I don't think we've done it for this show, but we will soon get it to the point where this presentation you will be able to watch being simulcast on shrmedia.com. Now, do you remember the older listeners and the older watchers when we updated the video. You used to be able to hear us on Spreaker at shrmedia.com. The goal is now for you to be able to watch us, myself, Sean, the Reaver of Common Sense, Jeff Dunitz. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, this is the SHR Media Network, and Jeff Dunitz will be coming back. I hope to have him on the show sometime next week. So he's going to be returning to SHR Media after an extended absence. With luck, he'll be coming back next week. He's back. Jeff Dunitz will be coming back. So there are a lot of cool things that are happening at shrmedia.com. And with that, the act you've known for all these years, Kari Baxter Donovan with Steve Bannon, and now she's writing for his warroom.org, warroom.org. And Kari, we just got through speaking. Kari said, that was a really bright day, and that's why I'm squinting. And it was about 300 degrees out there, but still looking damn good. It's Kari Baxter Donovan. So, Kari, welcome to the saloon. We literally have not seen you here for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Just about 2.5 years.
It's been a while. It's been way too long.
It has.
Good. Yeah.
And let's see, what do we want for a background? That's pretty splashy.
I like that. Looks like that.
You like that one? You want to know where that is? That's taken from inside my car at a car wash.
That's what it looks like.
Okay, well, that's what it is.
It's awesome. I love it. It's good. The flag was good. Hey, I'm just happy to be here.
Okay.
So see. I'm good. You choose.
You know what? The flag looks good. And this looks good.
No, that's too close. Too close.
Okay.
Back up. Whoa.
All right.
Back up.
Right. That doesn't look
Yeah,
good.
that's much better. I like that.
I'm not going to go there. So anyway.
I didn't want to brush my hair hardly. Come on, dude.
Like I said.
I'm a writer,
I have a face made for radio. So what did Sean do? What did Sean do before we, well, I don't know, at about 2019, somewhere around there. I started in 2017 at SHR. Yeah. And then he transitioned over to, no, not a woman. Okay, folks, don't say that. He doesn't like that. We transitioned over to video, which was a very cool thing.
I remember when he did that. I remember I was around. Can you believe
we were on complete audio. We were on Spreaker, audio only. And we had a blast on that. And then video, everybody's doing video. And I figured it would be way cool. And so I moved. My last show was in 2021. It took me about 2 years, 2.5 years before we finally got both homes moved. And bought another home in a free state. And now we are here. But enough about me. What about you? In those intervening 2.5 years, Kari Baxter Donovan, whom I used to quantify as my ECPG, which is my East Coast political goddess. I bet you haven't been referred to that in quite some time.
That's so sweet.
But
I really appreciate that. I always did.
Must have done a ton of stuff.
I did. I've done a ton of stuff. I've been dragged through, I can't go into too many details, but I've been dragged through the courts. I've been experienced some really good, crunchy lawfare thrown my way for being a writer. Great. So I have lots of great experience and lots of great things to talk about there. As far as like how the weaponization of the courts can impact the most common of us, like me. Let's see. And I've been writing for Ben Berquam for a while. So he's with Real America's Voice, and he's the one who goes to the border. A lot of people know him. Like everybody knows Ben. He's a great guy. And then I started writing in March or April for Steve Bannon, which is awesome because I started as Steve Bannon fangirl, just blogging about him. Like crazy about the time that I met, and I don't know who I met first. No, I do. I remember Ken McClinton. Anyway, when I first met up with y'all at SHR, I was basically just Steve Bannon fangirl. I just really liked him a lot. And so now to be able to write for him is awesome. Unfortunately, he's in prison as a political prisoner at the moment, but I am still writing for him. And I write between 3 and 10 times a day for him, for his site. Basically, the War Room's still going on the program, and so I write up a daily digest of all the show, all the guests, and then some of them I break out into bigger articles. And sometimes he asks me to write something specific, but he's the coolest. He's the best. He just is like, go ahead, just write. And he just lets me write. So I'm just writing and writing. That's what I'm doing.
So let me ask you this. I
Mhm.
hadn't, you just reminded me of a whole bunch of stuff. Can you tell us? I mean, I know the very general stuff about what happened, but how is it that let me see if I have this recollection.
Mhm.
He was issued a subpoena
Mhm.
and then decided not to appear on the subpoena?
No,
Is
he
that
didn't.
essentially, or
Yeah, that's
correct
what the
me,
media says, though. That's so you
set me
so
right.
yeah,
Set me
yeah.
right on this then. Tell me
And
what happened.
and it's interesting, so I'll take this chance to explain it. Look at my hair. I'm telling you, I'm a writer, so I
Oh,
hate
no.
like dealing with
Your
hair.
hair is,
Okay, so anyway,
well,
um,
friend, your hair is
forget the
fine.
hair, forget the hair. So it's interesting because I was at this event over the weekend with a bunch of very leftist kinds of, people. And this guy asked me, he said, "Hey, listen, I want to know more about what happened to Steve Bannon because I kind of like him now." But what happened? And so I started to explain to him, of course, I'm not the official spokesperson for this, but let me just give you the summary. Basically,
This
he
is
was
your
subpoenaed.
interpretation then.
What?
This is your interpretation then,
Yes,
since
yes.
you're not the
Thank you.
official Spocks for it. So
Yes,
I
thank you.
get it.
Yeah. So he was subpoenaed by the January 6th committee, which, if you recall, was like a bunch of Democrats and then what, like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. So
Yeah.
we classify them as Republicans. So
Both
that
Democrats.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that he's fighting is that, listen, this wasn't a legal committee because didn't have the representation of Congress. And that's been ruled on, and that's pretty much accepted that this thing was pretty much Nancy Pelosi just having, a Soviet style show trial. So anyway, he gets subpoenaed, but he said he wanted to get clarification on executive privilege because President Trump used his executive privilege and said, "No, I don't want you to testify to the January 6th committee."
Okay.
So his lawyer said, "Well, we have to listen to the president." And basically, Bannon is still, from what I understand, and apparently Merrick Garland said something today about Steve Bannon, but he's still waiting for the uh judgment, the ruling on, can President Trump use his executive, privilege. And so, because remember, Bannon was an advisor, and it's the same thing with Peter Navarro, who used executive privilege and tried to stay out of court. So, what's happening now is he went in July. He had a 4-month sentence. He really should be getting out because there's a congressional law that there's the first step, right? So you're supposed to get out for good behavior. They didn't let Navarro out for good behavior. And they're apparently not going to let Bannon out for good behavior because then he'd actually get out before the election and be able to talk. He's a political prisoner. It's completely biased. They set it up, obviously. And there's an article up in the war room about it. They tied him up in 2020, they tied him up in 2022, and then they put him in jail in 2024, all with lawfare, all using the courts and crazy stuff to try to keep him quiet. But basically, it's for defying a congressional subpoena, which, by the way, is a misdemeanor, but they're being treated like the top felons in the country and locked away. So it's very, very crazy. It's very bizarre. We know that Lois Lerner, we know that Eric Holder, and Merrick Garland, right? None of the Democrats have ever gone to prison, but we got Navarro, who just came out of prison in July, and now Bannon, who's still in prison. So he's a political prisoner.
And so what we've discovered is that I think Merrick Garland came out today and said, "Oh, we are completely equitable. We treat everyone the same except the only political prisoners." You still, and I've
Right.
tried like hell to find out who's still from January 6th in a jail somewhere in
Right.
DC, and
Right.
you can't find out who those. There are still some people, folks. Do you understand that in this country, apparently ruled by the Stasi, there are still Americans in the gulag who have not yet been to court, much less
Right.
been sentenced from January 6th. That's 2021. That's 3 years ago. That's like taking an individual, throwing them into debtor's prison,
Yes.
and
Right.
letting them languish and rot before they're even deemed fit to have a trial, a show trial, much less bring in the guilty party and then you'll be sentenced. How possible is it that this is America?
Right.
It really isn't. And
No.
let's do
The
this.
lawfare and the
I'm not.
weaponization of government.
Say it again, Kari.
The weaponization of government, it's so outrageous. At what point, what stage we're at right now. Mhm.
So let's go to a couple of places where you are writing these
Okay.
days.
Yes.
You're at here, the War Room. That's warroom.org. And you have, I believe, a number of articles that you've written in here. Let's go to this one.
I've written 640 articles for the War Room
Holy moly.
since April.
Here's the first one: Biden-Harris administration's misuse of government and their evasion of voter concerns on child sex slavery. We have a sheriff in my current county up in North Idaho who said there is no such thing as child trafficking up here. Funny thing is, we're not that terribly far from, say, Spokane, which
Right.
is in Washington and a massive leftist state. And also, we're on 2 huge interstates. We're on a massive east-west interstate, and the biggest interstate in between, well, it runs north and south through Idaho, and then down further south. So we have access. We have an airport that takes 737s, that takes an A310, an A320, large commercial aircraft. We can have people dumped in here at any time. In any event, you write for the warroom.org. And then I also pulled up, there are all the articles. If you look for Kari Donovan, there are all the articles that she happens to have written here. Oh, by the way, if you're looking at the bottom, this is really small. I can't make it any bigger, but the articles are from 1 to page 64. So there are 64 pages of essentially articles that you can read by Kari Baxter Donovan. And let's go to, this is your Twitter page, and you are at Seorsa 1776. Now, if you would explain that, what is Seorsa? You explained it to me once, and I have no memory. I forgot.
It's not the most important thing on your mind. What is going on around here?
I know.
I'm going to have to throw a flag on the play.
That's
here.
right. 10 yards and loss it down. But what was that? I do not recall.
It's Scottish for liberty and freedom. It's just Scottish. It's just a Scottish word for liberty and freedom.
Nice and plain.
Yep.
So here is your X page.
Yep.
And all of her stuff, if you want to find her media stuff, is right here on.
And that's my photograph too at the top. I'm very proud of it. because I'm really, really, really into photographing IndyCar and reporting on the on Indy racing, and I'm just really proud of that photo. So
Well, it looks
I get
like
to run around in a little photo vest and everything. Hmm?
you get into the pits then.
Yes, I do. Mr. Penske is extremely generous to any media, and he gives us, oh my gosh, he treats us like royalty. I literally had a housemate who came all the way from Mexico because he said nobody treats us like this in racing in Formula One in Mexico. Mr. Penske gives us access to almost everything that he can without, like, there are some times where they only let very professional top photographers, but I'm literally standing next to, I have a photo of Joseph Newgarden that year he won. I'm literally, I mean, 2 feet away from him as he's taking off on a qualifying day. And it's like a dream come true because I've been going to the race since I was a little girl. Literally, I'm thinking, how did I get access to this? I'm sitting in the pits. I was sitting next to Chip Ganassi on the wall in the pits, if anybody knows about the Indy 500, and I'm just like hanging out with Chip Ganassi. I mean, that's crazy. Yes, good
So
access.
how do you get access for that? Just because you like it and you've been going so many times?
No, I'm because I applied for media.
Oh,
So
okay.
they give me all the press releases, all access to all of their Penske entertainment, uh, their photography. Then when I'm there, I do a little photography. It's not a class. They're not teaching me how to do photography, but they give you a class on where you can go, what you can do. But I know the track very well. So I just sit there, and then they give you the vest and you can run around and do all the photography. I hang out with in one turn with the AP photographer who's there to get all the crashes, and he gives me all this great advice. It's so much fun. So, but I just applied for media. And then I show them where my articles are every year. They go and they read my articles and look at my social media and stuff, make sure I'm reporting on the race.
How very cool. Let
Yeah,
me point
it's
this one
awesome.
thing out. Um, I'm trying to recall, and I think this is the crux of the biscuit.
Okay.
You were involved. You have pretty much always been interested in politics. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you came upon something, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the gist of what I'm remembering. You made what I think was a very salient discovery. You started looking at press releases. This is kind of where you made your first foray into media. And people put out press releases all the time, and then you began to discover that there were really little meaty jewels in press releases,
Oh,
just press
yeah.
releases
Right, right, right,
that
right, right.
that people weren't that the press, what I term the American media maggots, weren't customarily picking up. And you would look at the average press release, and after going through the various press releases, you came to realize they're talking about things in here that no one else really is reporting. They're they're hiding and lying up front. It's right in here, but nobody's reporting on this stuff. Isn't that kind of how you got your first starts, so to speak, making those kinds of revelations?
Yeah, what a great memory you have. I forgot about that. I think that was when I started writing for Big League Politics, and I was writing for National File and David Harris Jr. And some other places. But yes, I totally forgot about that. That's what a great memory. So the official, this was during the Trump years, the official press releases were coming out, and I had come on to a number of your programs to talk about it, that the details that were in there were things that the media was, like you said, completely ignoring, which was just kind of shocking. Like, why are they making stuff up when they're getting the same press releases that I'm getting? And I think that I try to encourage other people, like, y'all, you can just go and sign up for these same press releases and start reporting the real news of things that were happening. Of course, we know that the corporate media was probably really trying to cover up what President Trump was doing in his administration because they didn't want him to get any good traction on anything. So I can't remember the specific stories, but there were a number of things that I remember now exactly talking to you about and saying, I'm so surprised that this is in just a regular press release. Yeah.
Well, this stuff I remember also you saying these are hidden jewels. There are all sorts of these hidden jewels littered all about these press releases, and they're hiding there on paper produced by whomever, but they're hiding in plain sight. And
Right. That
then
sounds like me.
you started going through all the press releases and actually, people I'm sure that most of the media is jaded and they say something similar to, okay, another press release from X, Y, and Z. And it either gets round filed or they'll briefly look at it if it's the slightest bit interesting, mostly not. It would get pitched. And
Right.
you found essentially a treasure trove of information. And that's kind of where you got your start and your insight, which then led you to write stories off of what people would customarily say, oh, just press releases,
Right.
except you found sometimes the family jewels hidden within some of those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's open. There's so much open source information that we can get a hold of. So to add to the press releases and to go into more detail and expand on those stories, I think that citizen journalists probably just have a lot more enthusiasm for the truth than the corporate media do. So that's where I get my information from. Mm.
And that's where I think the term, well, I think that's what you've been calling yourself for quite some time, is a citizen journalist.
Mhm.
But yet to the point where you're now issued in certain venues press credentials, right?
Right.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
folks, this
Totally.
is Kari Baxter Donovan right there. That's who she is. Hello, folks. And this is the Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. I'm BZ. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I know you've demanded it. Where is it? Well, the heyjackass.com Chicago Death Toll will be coming up. I want to say hello to in Rumble chat over here. There's Jersey Joe in chat. There's Simone in chat. There's Alaskan in chat, and somebody else that I'm missing. Nope, I think I've got it all. So if you want to, folks, before we go on the break, we're going to be taking about a 2-minute break or so. All I have to say is, hey, jump into our sumptuous and palatial chat room. It's right here. I was discussing with Kari Baxter Donovan. Look at the leather. Look at the plants. Look at the great light. Look at the double doors. The bathroom, which has all new marble, is behind there. It's wonderful. You need to go there. And so we'll be right back after this break, this brief break from not necessarily our sponsors, but our promos and all that. I'm BZ. That's Kari Baxter Donovan.
Awesome.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, are you guys listening? This is Shannon from Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media. I know you've been wondering where we are and what's been going on. Well, folks, that's right. We're back. So please join us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on SHR Media, on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and Facebook Live at 11 a.m. on Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM at Facebook. You don't want to miss a minute. We've got lots of guests, lots of segments, and lots of interesting things. And let's face it, there's nowhere for you to go, so you might as well tune in. Again, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. We're back live on the air on SHR Media, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, audio and Facebook Live, audio and video. Yes, we are going to do video. Facebook Live, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Hope to see you soon.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life. the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
Unleashed Jeremy Hansen, the most explosive pro-American podcast on the planet. Pro-MAGA, pro-Trump, pro-conservative. Come join the resistance. Fight for what really matters in America. 5 p.m. Central on UJHLive.com, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Pandora, or MAGABook.com. Come join the resistance and fight for America. Unleashed Jeremy Hansen.
Do you value yourself, your family, your friends? Want to know more about how to survive, thrive, and stay alive in these dynamic times? Listen to Around the Campfire with Kate, Thursday nights and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, only on PSN TV. That's Around the Campfire with Kate. News that nobody in the MSM wants to report. Remember, train hard, train smart to survive, thrive, and stay alive.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. I am BZ. That's Kari Baxter Donovan over on the right. Our sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room is open. Please subscribe to my channel here. Click the thumbs up logo thingy on it. Like the shows, and share the show if you would. In the meantime, as you're watching, share it all over the place. When you subscribe, I should care to notate that either when you subscribe, I get the choice of either a porcelain Dalmatian or extra vodka. Customarily, I choose the vodka. That's just how it goes. So I'm BZ. Welcome back. This is Kari Baxter Donovan. And like I say, please share. If you're interested also, you may call in. You can call the show now. You can call the show later, but you can't call the show when we're not on. So 916-835-3329. 916-835-3329. That number in Phoenix is 916-835-3329. If you're calling from Bolivia, don't forget to add 3 to that, then the 4, then 916-835-3329. So let's go to not that, but let's go to a place I always love. Sometimes the names change, but, well, the deaths don't. It's so sad.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com, Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every alder crap in the 50 wards.
All you have to do to find out if this is true, go to HeyJackass.com, HeyJackass.com, illustrating Chicago values. Chicago, the city of big shoulders, HeyJackass.com. September to date, shot and killed 16, shot and wounded 69, total shot 87, total homicide 17. Week in progress, September 8th through September the 14th. Shot and killed 7, shot and wounded 25, total shot 32, total homicide 7. Year to date in Chicago, shot and killed 384, shot and wounded 1,800 people. Shot and wounded, total shot 2,184 people. Total homicides 435. So that means a person is shot in Chicago every 2 minutes and 48 seconds, and that in Chicago, a person is murdered every 14 minutes and 4 seconds.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com, Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every alder crap in the 50 wards.
Sad but true. Now, because I broadcast on Rumble, I wanted to play you this. This is the guy that owns Rumble. I believe his name is Chris. I can't think of his last name. But of course, Rumble people, advertisers won't go to Rumble because Rumble tends to play and allow people like me to speak the truth. So here's some truth from the owner of Rumble.
I'm Chris Pavlovsky, CEO of Rumble. We're a public company on the NASDAQ under ticker RUM. Today, I released a damning email from Dunkin' Donuts and Inspired Brands. In that email, they discriminated against half the country by saying they will not advertise on any platform with right-wing culture. So I came home and I went in my drawer and looked what I found. Dunkin' Donuts. And I have the honor of taking this little tray and dunking it in the trash. I have no tolerance for Dunkin' Donuts when they're going to discriminate against half of America.
As well, they should be. Here's also something that I want to play to everybody. This needs to be set up a bit. You'll understand it when you hear it and when you read it, but one thing that you need to watch for closely is you'll see a police car and then you'll read the words. And I want you to notice this is Canada. Okay. So these are Canadians.
Look at this. A transgender cop car. Look at that. You guys cops or you just identify as cops?
And I got to play this for you too. Oh, I don't have it set up. Okay, that's all right. That's all right. We can move on to plans B and C. While I was on the break, I went over to another Twitter file and another poll, and I'm gonna show everyone, including my guest tonight, Kari Baxter Donovan, the results of the debate. But I just found out, and it's so quick, I didn't have a chance to bring it up and move it over to my video screen. A poll has just been released by highly respected pollster Tony Fabrizio, showing that I, meaning Trump, am up 3 points after the debate. These are largely independent voters who are tired of watching our country go down and want to make America great again. So the memo is this. I'm going to read from it. The top of it, the headline is Trump campaign memo, post-debate bump for Trump, Harris flat. It says confidential memorandum. Whether it is or not, I don't know. I'm reading it, so it can't be that confidential. So to the TPP senior team from Tony Fabrizio, date September 12th. Okay, well, that's today. So this is new. Last night, we conducted a survey of 1,893 likely voters across our 7 largest key target states. We found that despite the best efforts of Kamala Harris and media to portray the debate as some kind of an overwhelming win for her, voters did not see it this way, as support for her remained flat. The only change we saw was a 2-point bump for President Trump in both ballot configurations. In last week's data, pre-debate, from our surveys across our 7 largest states, both the full and head-to-head ballots were split dead even. In our post-debate data, President Trump leads Vice President Harris by 2 points, 48% to 46%. And in the head-to-head ballot, he is up 3 points, 50% to 47%. Clearly, target state voters were not impressed by Kamala Harris's empty platitudes. And while the media would have people believe she is cruising to an early victory, they couldn't be further from the truth. Let me throw this in right here. One thing that came out. Now, I haven't seen this yet. This is just something that came across my desk, so to speak. Apparently, there's an ABC whistleblower who's going to release some kind of an affidavit claiming that the Harris campaign was given sample questions that were essentially the same questions that were given during the debate, as well as assurances that Trump would be fact-checked and she would not, which is exactly what occurred.
Mm-hmm.
Let me throw this up as well. Newsmax Snap poll: who won the debate? Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. C-SPAN: who won the ABC News presidential debate? Cami, 36. Donald Trump, 64. Insider Paper poll: who won the debate? Trump, 78. Kamala Harris, 13. Not sure, 9. How do you get into the 9%? I don't grok that concept at all. Here's another one. Leading report: who won the debate? Trump, 91%. Harris, 9%. Here's another one. Political polls: who won tonight's debate? Trump, 57. Harris, 32. Nobody, 11. Another one. Daily Caller. Daily Caller owned by Ben Shapiro, so I may intuit there's a little bit of bias in here or not. I don't know, but this is interesting because it says Trump 73, Harris 8%, the moderators 19%. Can't say as I disagree with that. And this one from Wall Street Silver: who won the debate? Cami Cackler, 17%, Donald Trump, 83%. I don't know if you've noticed, but as I went through all of these, it indicates, multiple tens of thousands of votes that have come in through these. So it's not like we had, 10 people responding, that kind of thing. I also want to point this out. And Kari Baxter Donovan, maybe you could weigh in on this as well. This is from Emerald Robinson. This is on X. This is from today. The Department of Homeland Security has officially designated the Electoral College vote count and certification as a special national security event because the Biden regime is going to steal the election. Now, I haven't talked to you in quite some time, Kari Baxter Donovan. It is my opinion that 2020 was stolen. That it's too lengthy, and the courts and the media are too biased to even allow anybody to get into it, much less to discuss it, which is why I'm on Rumble and essentially no place else. But we know that the Electoral College is something that leftists and Democrats want to rip out by the veritable roots. So is there any reasons that you can think of, Kari Baxter Donovan, that leftists and Democrats would want to place such a focus on the Electoral College? Are they aiming to basically invalidate the Electoral College because somewhere they will perceive a security threat, and then we can't believe that Electoral College?
Well, because they're going to be absolutely gobsmacked, humiliated if they lose, when they lose the Electoral College, right? Because it's going to bring up questions to anybody who's left with their, brain in their head. Hey, what happened in 2020? They can't explain it, so they have to do all of this kind of gaslighting and crazy stuff. They can't explain away how nothing makes sense about 2020. So also they've done everything that in their power to absolutely marginalize and other President Trump since 2015, before he won 2016. He's the goblin. And so how could he possibly win the Electoral College of all things, right? Yeah.
Let me throw this
He can't
in.
win the popular vote. He can't win the electoral count. He can't. So yeah, I mean, they're going to steal it. They're going to try to steal it. Of course they are. That's why we have to go and make everybody go vote, just like in 2016. It didn't work for us in 2022. It did in 2018. It didn't, because everybody just kind of gave up and didn't go back to vote We need to vote in powers and numbers like 2016. But yeah, I mean, they're going to do whatever but we know that, right? I mean, it's not really surprising to anyone. It was stolen. Of course, they've always tried to steal it. They try to steal everything. That's the only way they win anything. I agree.
I heard, and almost every show now I say this because it's
Mm-hmm.
so true. I had a civics teacher in the 1960s, Mr. Helms. And the only thing I remember from junior high and high school was this. And I wasn't a political animal. I was a moron as a kid. Somehow this stuck into the neurons in the wheelhouse here. Don't know why. He said, Democrats don't win elections. Republicans lose them.
Exactly. Yes.
And the debate was Trump's to lose. The election was Trump's to lose. Historically, various elections were the Republicans to lose. But let me toss a potential theory out here, because I've been seeing this on more than one or two occasions in various forms of social media. Those people who predict things are essentially saying they don't think that Trump is going to win the popular vote, so to speak. But they do believe that he's going to walk away with the Electoral College. So now that this is burbling, it's a burbling, flowing undercurrent on social media,
Mm-hmm.
it would seem to me that now, having come up on somebody's radar screen, it's incumbent upon leftists and Democrats to make sure that maybe we need to be targeting more accurately the Electoral College itself. And then I suggest, well, maybe that's where it comes from. Did you happen to watch the debate?
I did. I watched the whole thing. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any thoughts or opinions about the debate? Because boy, do I have.
Well, I thought that there were a number of there was what a strange cycle. Everything is so strange about this, the cycle, the debate, everything. But there's some things that I didn't catch on to until after the debate. One of them being like Trump's kind of sort of distant, cool mood. I didn't really get what that was all about until at the end when he was talking to Hannity and he said, this is very serious, because he wasn't jovial. He wasn't laughing. He didn't really try to make any point, any lightheartedness like he usually does. And I think that was right. At first, it disturbed me because it was so atypical of him. I thought that, like many people, that he allowed Kamala to be too bold and dominant at some points. But in the end, I think that it didn't really do much of anything. I was watching the Breitbart sort of live blogging about it, and they were making the points that I was thinking in my head, so it was making me feel better. The whole thing made me feel anxious. I didn't think that it was smart of him to do the debate in the first place. I think that he should have said, I agree with the people who said he should have said, I'm not going to debate her because she wasn't chosen by the people. That would have been a good out. But, it is what it is. I mentioned to Ben Shapiro, hey, he was complaining about why did they let Trump do it, etc. I said, the dude's Scottish. Look, he's not going to turn down an invitation to fight because he's Scottish. That's what Scots do. We have a hard time saying no thank you when you invite us to a fight. So, people know that about Trump. They know that he's going to go in and he's going to fight. And he's going to say some stupid things and he's going to look like he's losing. But at the end of the day, it's what happens after the debate. And it's really hard to believe that anybody's going to say, you know what? Yeah, forget about the economy. Let's vote for Kamala. I mean, is this the time that we're going to have the first female president ever? I'm not excited. And as you know, I'm not a feminist. I'm not excited about the idea of a female president ever, let alone right now when everything is chaotic, all of these wars going on, and the economy is garbage. So I think that, maybe she won the debate as far as like her team saying, yeah, she won. She did a really good job. She didn't fall down on the floor and start crying. There were a number of things that I wish that he would have expanded on a little bit more. And I talked to you about that earlier. One of them being like this whole thing about the border, when he made some really good points about, hey, why don't we go wake up your boss at 4:30 in the afternoon and have him write a law to close the border, because that's how easy it could get done. Nobody fact checked that, and it should have been fact checked true, because I went down a rabbit hole, but I'm going to do it for a second here. We are in this mess. Kamala could have changed it at any time she wanted to, because it's a non-binding agreement with the UN that is causing this disaster at the border. So that was a great moment. And so to me, it's like Trump won. There you go. He won. But there's not a lot of people who are going to agree with me on that. So I think whatever happened in that hot mess that it was isn't going to change anything at the end of the day. If they say that Kamala Harris got a bump, okay, it does, for a little while. I can't imagine that people are going to go and say, this is a great time to have a first female president. Even those low propensity voters that they're talking about now, even those, low information voters, the people who don't usually vote, the people who come in late and don't really care, the people who, are influenced by very simple things, Taylor Swift or something, are going to go, yeah, this is the time that we want to make history and have the first female president while she's out there trying to act like Obama. I don't think, in the end, anybody won. It was so stupid. The moderators were ridiculous. And of course, you were watching it and I felt like, it's obvious. She has had the questions. She knew what to do. She was very well prepared for what they were going to ask her. She knew, so I don't really have a good answer to that. It's a kind of a ramble because it was a hot mess.
It was a hot mess. It was a crappy debate. And it was made a crappy debate by the people that were the moderators, who had their finger on everything. Now, I have an article that I'm going to go into. We got about 6 minutes before the top of the hour break. I think I'm going to probably end up hitting that article after the break. And it's about 25 things that the American media maggots there completely missed their mark on and avoided, plus all the lies that were in lockstep with each other, one after the other. So before we do that, I have a phone call, and after the phone call, I want to go into your article that you had just mentioned. Now, you just mentioned this. I'm looking at it from Frontline America, the border crisis. And I want to go into that. But first, there's somebody on the phone. And who is this? Who do we have on the phone?
Hey, BZ, it's your buddy from the Northland, the great land up north.
Ah, the great snowy, icy north. How are you? This is Alaskan, right?
Yes.
Well, welcome, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, I guess. Hey, listen, I wanted to go back to some of your comments you made on the Electoral College.
Okay.
And why they want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because the Electoral College. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm listening to you. You're calling in, sir.
Okay. Kind of got something going back with the phone. Anyway, the Electoral College is the largest bastion left of the Republic of the United States.
Of checks and balances.
That's right. It's the means to elect a president, and it is there to keep us from becoming a democracy. Everybody's talking about democracy. Well, we are not a democracy.
No.
We're a democratic republic. But if they can get rid of the republic, then we are a democracy. And as such, we will, as all democracies go, will go into a dictatorship.
Well, yeah, primarily. I wanted to do this for the longest time. Maybe I'd love to find out if my constitutional professor is still around. Professor Jones, Dr. Jones, I presume, who I've had on the show any number of times before. He's a constitutional scholar. He taught con law. And I'd love to have him. He may have done this on a prior show, but I'd like to have it, I don't know, at least an hour show on the difference between a democracy and a republic. And a democracy is 51 people deciding that they're going to kill you because they don't like you. It's a plurality plus one. That's all they need. And that's not how our framers envisioned this nation. They were smarter than smart. They knew the nature of humanity is to cheat and kill because they'd watched it in front of their eyes for the entire prior decade. And that's how we acquired our independence, by being rude and uncivilized and not wearing red coats, standing in a line and firing and expecting that we're going to stand and wear bright flaming yellow blazers, and we're going to line up here with red and line up here with fluorescent orange or yellow. And that's the true civilized. No, screw that. They were hiding in trees, under bushes, and shooting and sniping people whenever they could because they were fighting for a nation. So I want to do that. Thank you for reminding me of that, Mr. Alaskan. I want to do and delineate a democracy versus a republic. I remember going to, and if you have not gone to Prager University, and if you have questions about politics in general, go to PragerU. I think it's prageru.com, something similar to that. And look up any political topic that you want, and you'll find all of those things there. So yes, the Electoral College is simply part of the checks and balances that were installed on a number of levels by the founding fathers, because they were a hell of a lot more brilliant than the people we have in politics right now. Alaskan, it's the top of the hour. I'm going to take a break. Do you want to hang on the phone and come back after the break, or have you made your massage?
Well, I think that's all I have to say on the subject that was brought up on the Electoral College.
Okay.
And if you bring up something that I think I want to suggest or comment on, I'll call back.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
If that's fair with you.
It's all fair game in guns and cannons and hand grenades and volleyball.
Yes.
And folks, I'm BZ. That's Kari Baxter Donovan. And we're going to take a break at this point. Are we, Mr. Producer? Come on.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It is he that is me, bringing perspective from across the sea. Join me, Jack Alexander, 4 days a week for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the news and issues affecting life and liberty here in the USA. I'll show you what the mainstream media refuses to. Politics, border security, defense, healthcare, travel, nothing is off limits. Catch the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast each Monday to Thursday on Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere good podcasts can be found. Also, check out the website, www.jackalexanderexperiment.com.
Come listen to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, for the best in late-night conservatarian wireless talk radio at shrmedia.com. Raised as a free-range child with dirt and freedom, BZ is broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room at shrmedia.com. Now, with 18% more umbrage and 20% more bulbosity than previous shows, and with delicious Liberty additives.
Remember, BZ realizes that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
After 6 years covering terror and corruption, the Unpleasant Blind Guy is making a change. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker and YouTube through SHR Media and on the Western Free Radio Network as I team up with Jeff Mitchell, host of the English Defense League radio show on blogtalkradio.com. Check show pages for airtimes. It's the Unpleasant Blind Guy.
On ADL Radio.
There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'm back. I'm BZ. If you would, please share the show, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to the show, please. Click the share button and let all your friends know about BZ's buttery political goodness, which is spread all over with a huge, wide ladle. Great buttery political goodness here tonight. We are speaking to Kari Baxter Donovan, and here she is. Let's see if I always get this wrong. Okay, there she is over there, Kari Baxter Donovan. I have to keep remembering that as I'm looking at the camera, it's backwards. So if I want to point that way, I'm pointing to my left when I should be pointing to the right. But it all makes sense now.
Right.
Anyway, that was Alaskan.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the saloon. That's Kari Baxter Donovan. And I'm looking at this article right now.
Okay.
That you had written. You brought this up earlier.
Yes.
So I'll read the headline, and then maybe you can fill in some of the blanks of this, because before the show, when we were talking, you mentioned this, and I thought, I hadn't heard anything about this. I didn't know anything about this. And it's one of those things that kind of falls into happy stories. I don't really have any happy stories to share tonight, but I'm going to have a ton. I just couldn't pack all the stuff that I wanted to talk about, plus that tonight, because there's just not enough room. But anyway, in this story, this is from Frontline America. And frontlineamerica.com, you know, the place that Google wouldn't take me to when I put in specifically frontlineamerica.com. I don't know how I can be more specific than that. And it sent me everywhere except down at the very bottom, just about to page 2. Oh, there's frontlineamerica.com. Here's the headline. Trump will end the border crisis again. UN Migration Compact. Non-binding agreement and threat to U.S. sovereignty. Okay, unpack that and translate that for us, if you would, please, Kari Baxter Donovan.
So I've written about this topic probably 30 times or more since 2021. And I'm trying to figure out, like, that particular title is just another way of me trying to capture people's attention. Like, will this title get you at all? Can anybody pay attention to this? But basically what it is I'm trying to get people to understand that the mess that we're in at the border, the reason why it's open, because people have to wonder what is going on that's different now than before, right? Than when Trump was in office. And it's called the UN Global Compact for Migration. So what happened was, and it's in this article, and basically I threw this sort of together to go on a couple of podcasts. So just to give people, like, here's a link, and here's to show you that I'm not crazy. That's basically the content of that particular article. If you want more context, you can just put in the search bar on this site, Global Compact or UN, and it will bring up all of the articles that I've written on it. But basically, the bottom line is, look, we are in this mess because Joe Biden got us back into an agreement. It's just an agreement with the UN that Obama got us into, Trump got us out of, Biden got us back into again. That's why it was a mess when it was Obama, why it wasn't when it was Trump, and why it's a mess under Biden. Kamala Harris, and being in charge of the border, could have gotten us out of this at any time, because here's the secret. And here's what I want people to really, really embrace. It's a non-binding agreement. And I didn't make that up. There's a link there that takes you to a UN site where it says exactly in those words, it is a non-binding agreement. That means at any time, the Biden-Harris administration could say, yeah, we're done. We're out. We don't want any more of this nonsense, because our people are miserable and hate it. And the UN has no legal authority to say you entered into this is not a treaty. Okay. That's why Trump said at the debate, and he didn't make it really that well known. Hey, you could just get us out of this at any time. You don't need Congress. He said that, but people didn't really understand what it was about. I don't think many people understood. My hair was on fire. I was like, yes, go, tell him, Trump, tell him. No, they don't need Congress. Biden can't say, oh, I can't get Congress to do these things, blah, 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 blah. We don't need Congress. He's not going to need Congress. And that's why when he gets back in office on day one, he said he's going to basically reinstall the travel ban, which, by the way, Steve Bannon had a lot to do with. The travel ban will end a lot of this nonsense, and he will tell the UN to go step off like he did before. He's already done it before. Of course, Obama, Biden, Harris don't want us out of it. That's why they pretended like, oh, we don't know. Oh, these terrible things. Oh, we're going to fix it. They could fix it anytime they wanted to. It's a non-binding agreement. So Trump, when he says as soon as he gets into office, he's going to start deporting people, fact check, true. He's going to do that. He's already done it before. And it's very easy. They don't need Congress. This doesn't have anything to do with Congress. It's just the UN. So that's that article.
It's a good article. I'll go into it in a little bit more detail in just a moment. But you brought up essentially what was the close of Trump's debate, saying essentially all the things that you're laying out before us right now are things that you could have been doing since January 21st of 2021. And in all this time, almost 4 years, you have intentionally decided that you're going to neglect all of these things and then spout from the inside, oh, now we're here to clean up the same crap that we created for you. Well, if they created it, what makes anyone think that they have any motivation whatsoever to clean it up? They created it. They're not going to turn their backs on what they love. See, the other thing that and this is illustrative of leftists, the American media maggots. So if we know she hates fracking, Kamala Harris, she said in the debate that she's not against fracking. What the hell happened to all the leftists who should theoretically be up in arms about what she said? We must have no fracking. Why aren't they going nuts?
Yeah, we know
why. I know why. It's because she's not going to allow fracking, and they know it. That's exactly what's going to occur.
Yeah, and the left and the Democrats, and we already know this, they're mourning tonight, cradle to grave for the party. They're like communist mindset, right? Win at any cost. They don't care about the country. They don't care about prosperity for our families and all of the things that we care about. They only want to win, and they want their in what we call the administrative state. Steve Bannon calls it the administrative state. I agree with him on this. The deep state basically are government workers. Okay, they're just government workers. The government is so big. They're just government workers who want to keep their jobs, right? Oh, good. I got a pal. Thank you. So they want to keep their jobs and they just want to win. They want to keep their jobs. So that's what we're up against. They're going to lie. They're going to make stuff up. By the way, they say they want to be for Alaska. They say they want to be a democracy, but they don't respect when they don't have the majority. They're the minority, right? We're the majority. They're the minority. They don't like all of this stuff about when there's the majority and the majority makes a decision. They don't like it if it doesn't have to do with them keeping their jobs and grabbing power. So they don't really want democracy either. What they want is they want power, and they want absolute power, and they want it to be the way that they want it. And they're going to make up whatever, steal whatever. And we know that. That's just, they're lacking in character, they're lacking in integrity and morals, and they are not the same Americans that we are. There's we believe in all of these founding documents and things and rights. We're not on the same page with these people at all. And so we know why, because they're not the same as we are.
Well, recall recently that Bernie Sanders, in an article, I can't recall where it was from, might have been Fox News for all I know, said essentially, I get what she's doing. Does she still believe all of these things? Yes, she does. Why is she saying what she's saying, which seems to be in contravention of her core foundational beliefs? And Bernie Sanders, who, like him or hate him, he mostly hasn't lied about who he really is, or for that matter, who she really is. He said basically, well, she just wants to get elected. Okay, that's the truth. Now, let me go into your article, which is over here, over on this screen that I'm looking at, and flesh out your article just a little bit. We've covered it for years. This is a story from Kari Baxter Donovan, right over here. Look, I got the finger right. The United States Global Compact. I didn't mean that in a disgusting way. The UN Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regularly Migration, commonly known as the UN Compact for Migration, is a non-binding agreement that seeks to address various aspects of global migration. Signed in December 2018, it aims to improve international cooperation on migration issues, ensuring that migration is managed humanely, legally, and in an organized fashion. Well, maybe for the illegal invaders, it's all of those things, but it's certainly not for the people who are affected. Right. The compact is not legally binding, despite fears that it could impose obligations on participating countries. It does not compel nations to change their immigration laws or open their borders. And as you indicated, Kari Baxter Donovan, the agreement is non-binding, meaning it is not a law. And you give a link in this article, which I am putting up right here. Here's our database, UN Global Compact and UN documentation. So Donald Trump withdrew the U.S. from the compact, citing concerns about national sovereignty and potential political pressures to conform to international migration standards. His administration argued that the compact could undermine the U.S.'s ability to enforce its immigration laws and secure its borders independently. And you, Kari Baxter Donovan, are saying something similar to the microsecond that Big Donald John gets in, he's going to completely eliminate that.
Yep.
And then that's also the microsecond that he will be attempting to send people back. Now, honestly, can he send 11 million, 20 million? No one knows how many illegal invaders are in the U.S. Nobody knows for sure at all. 20 million, 25 million, 30 million. The Springfield, Ohio, a town of 58,000, has 20,000 illegal invading Haitians who have been dropped on it from the United States government. Are they lawful? I guess the U.S. has said, bing, you're now legal. That town has increased by 1/3. A town who couldn't even hold its own, who couldn't support its own. I fervently believe that's one of the major goals from Democrats and leftists. It's the Cloward Piven strategy. Destroy everything that you once knew and loved and then rebuild it from scratch. Make no mistake, folks, a lot of this bullshit comes from Barack Hussein Obama, who's embarrassed because he was taught by Marxists and communists. He's embarrassed that the United States of America has such power and such strength. And he wants to knock us down to size. True then, true now. Well, I told you.
Well, it's also his job. You know, he's a trained community organizer. I took the same classes that he had. I had the same professors that he had in community organizing. And this has been my point, which is I got out of community organizing and I went into house cleaning with a college degree in community organizing because I decided I didn't want to be a progressive communist. But all of these people who are employed by nonprofits and him, you know, many of them in politics, it's their jobs. They're just government workers trying to keep their jobs. And then they come up with all of these nonsense policies to keep their jobs. And so you try to wonder, like, are they evil? Are they stupid? Is it a Marxist ideology? It could be all of those things. But at the bottom line, the real mission that they have is to keep making money. That's it. That's all. That's all it is. And so that's all they know how to do. Social justice, grab and go, steal from people. They're con artists. And we have been employing them through various media, political things as social justice warriors. It's their jobs, it's their mindset. And they're not brave enough, like I was. And I call them out all of the time. They're not brave enough to say, I was wrong. You know, they might have gotten into it when they were young and ideological and thinking, I'm going to help people. That's why I got into it. I'm going to help people. And what they need to realize, and I post about this a lot, and I say, you guys are the ones who are hurting them. When I realized, hey, I'm the one who's hurting people, I got out of it because I have integrity. So I call them out all the time and say they just don't have any integrity. What they're trying to do is keep their jobs. They can't do anything else. They don't have an entrepreneurial spirit to start a business. They can't go and like take some classes and learn a new skill. They're basically stuck. Obama is not a brilliant genius. He's a moron. And all he can do is figure out how to steal. So he's a social justice warrior and a community organizer. That's what he does.
The only aspect of the population that gets enriched are the people who come up with this. During the break, we got about another 10 minutes for the bottom of the hour break. There was a brilliant, I don't know, maybe 30-second bit by Kevin Spacey in House of Cards, which had to do with politics in DC before people realized that Kevin Spacey was a major pederast.
Right.
But true. What portion of what I just said is false? But I'm going to see if I can dredge that up during the break, because he said one very important thing that I want everybody to realize about DC. We'll get to that. But in the meantime, before the break, I promised that we're going to get to this, and that is during the debate, and Sackhead Sean, Jersey Joe, and Lonnie Poindexter and myself all watched the debate. It turned into a massive 4-hour show because I was stupid and thought the debate started at 5 o'clock when it really didn't start until 6. But hey, we riffed like mothers, okay? Until
I bet you
6
did.
o'clock.
Yeah.
And then after the debate, we had a whole bunch of stuff to say. But during the debate, we kept yelling and screaming. Lie. Lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. Not fact checked, no pushback, but by any of the fucktards at ABC, nothing. So I want to go over this right now. Here are the 25 lies that Kamala Harris told in the debate against Trump. This was published yesterday. 1, She grew up as a middle-class kid. Well, no.
Right.
Harris's father happens to be a professor at Stanford University. And if you go to Stanford University, you don't go there by being in a little bitty shotgun shack. And her mom was a biomedical scientist at UC Berkeley. That's not middle class. Not then, not now. Then she lied about taxes, Trump's tax cuts. She said the 2017 tax cuts approved by the Trump administration benefited America's billionaires and corporations. Data from the IRS showed, on average, all income brackets benefited substantially from the Republicans' tax reform law, with the biggest beneficiaries being working and middle-income filers, not the top 1%. And then the Trump sales tax. She said that Trump is going to implement a sales tax. Not once has he ever said that he's going to do such a thing. Lied, not just, and the lies kept coming. January 6th. The January 6th events didn't put self-governance in jeopardy. It wasn't an insurrection. If you want an insurrection, all of 2020 was an insurrection. When 25 plus people were killed for months on end, billions and billions of dollars went up in flames. The economy was totaled. Cities and locations and police stations were burned down. Thousands and thousands of law enforcement officers were injured, some very seriously. One of them, a retired officer, a black guy who was killed in a major urban rat cage. It didn't take down our, quote, democracy. And then they compared it. These fucks had the temerity to try to compare it to World War II, the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, or 9/11. That's insanity world. Project 2025. Truth in advertising. In Project 2025, I read one version where J.D. Vance wrote the intro, and I read another version where he was not anywhere with 2025. How many times does Trump need to disavow Project 2025? He didn't have anything to do with it. He's not having anything to do with it. He won't have anything to do with it in the future. If you want to read his platform, go to 2025 Trump. He'll tell you what he's interested in doing right there. But it's Project 2025. It's like the Lincoln Project. It's lie after lie after lie. Then she talked about just restoring Roe. And then she was asked about supporting any restrictions on abortion. She didn't even answer the question. She claimed she absolutely supports the reinstating of protections for Roe versus Wade. But then before that, she pledged to sign legislation as the Women's Health Protection Act, which would essentially approve and codify abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. And her history of co-sponsoring the original version of that legislation. She voted against protections for babies born alive after botched abortions. Lie after lie. Pro-life laws criminalize miscarriages, ectopic pregnancies. It's a lie. Trump's abortion stance. She said Trump will sign a national abortion ban and hire a national abortion monitor that will be monitoring your pregnancies. Lie. That has never been said by Trump, ever. Then they said 9-month abortions don't exist. Who's that guy from Virginia? Maybe you would know. Kari Baxter Doug Bertram, past Virginia governor, who said that he supported abortions up to and including 9 months and birth. So she said, 9-month abortions don't exist. You had a Democrat governor in your midst who was advocating for that. Border bill.
Northam.
That was his name.
Right.
Northam.
He did. I mean,
he advocated for abortions up to 9 months and birth.
Yeah. That was weird because it was such a shocking moment for the nation. But again, it just shows that they're completely out of touch with the people. It was a shocking moment when he said that because he took abortion then into, past birth. And I remember going to Trump International and sitting in the lobby the evening that he said that, and people were in shock. And she didn't remember that. They're not the same people. They're not having the same experience. I mean, they're not the same type of Americans that we are.
No,
They're just not connected with us in any way. And we're not having a similar experience here. For her to not remember that. It was so weird when she said that.
She also said that regarding the border bill, the Republicans vetoed and didn't want to have anything to do with a bill that would have stemmed the flow of illegal invaders and fentanyl at the border. So that's false. That would have essentially enshrined the current status of invasion into federal law, SCOTUS immunity ruling.
Right.
She mischaracterized the SCOTUS ruling regarding the immunity of a president. Essentially, what they said was, if he's working under the scope of his job, he's immune. If he's not, he isn't. Then, of course, the fracking ban. I played any number of times on this show Kamala Harris saying, I will ban fracking. It cannot be more. What do you believe the word coming out of my mouth when I tell you I'm going to ban fracking? She said it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, she said, my values have not changed. Well, it's true. Let's see if this will play for
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that...
Okay, I'm just going to stop right there. It's time for the break. Complete bullshit. She is... Now, the one thing she said in there, and we'll come back to this story after the break. The one thing she did say in there was, my values haven't changed. Trust her on that one.
California values.
Her values have not changed. Guaranteed. You can take that one to the bank.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Southern Sense is conservative talk with Annie, the radio chick you bellows as host, and C.S. Bennett co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific, on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Hi, this is Eric Thompson. Please check out my new weekend review show, For Liberty's Sake, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Check out forlibertysake.com.
Hey, are you guys listening? This is Shannon from Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media. I know you've been wondering where we are and what's been going on. Well, folks, that's right. We're back. So please join us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on SHR Media, on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and Facebook Live at 11 a.m. on Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM at Facebook. You don't want to miss a minute. We've got lots of guests, lots of segments, and lots of interesting things. And let's face it, there's nowhere for you to go, so you might as well tune in. Again, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. We're back live on the air on SHR Media, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, audio and Facebook Live, audio and video. Yes, we are going to do video. Facebook Live, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Hope to see you soon.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we are back. I'm back. Kari Donovan is back. The people in chat are back. Sean is in chat. Jersey Joe's in chat.
Jersey Joe.
Yeah, Whiskey Dale is in chat.
Whiskey Dale.
Alaskan is in chat. Simone is in chat. You could be in chat too if you really want to. And I really want you to. I really, really want you to. I'm BZ. This is the last hour in the saloon. And essentially, let's see if I can find this. This is, where is it? Oh, I can't find it. If only I had a producer, but I don't. In any event, I told you that when we come back from the break, and I was busy like a little busy guy with technology, which doesn't love me. Technology hates me. Although the APS, which crashed on Tuesday, did get replaced today. Thank you, Amazon. Thank you very much, Mrs. BZ, who crawled under the desk to replug all this stuff back in. Why, you APS? Why, I oughta. Anyway, that's all replaced. The APS shouldn't crash on me anymore. But I told you I'd play this. This is from... this is Kevin Spacey talking about money and power and what's best in DC. This is from the series House of Cards.
Power is the old stone building that stands for centuries. I cannot respect someone who doesn't see the difference.
Oh, let me go back.
Money is the McMansion in Sarasota that starts falling apart after 10 years. Power is the old stone building that stands for centuries. I cannot respect someone who doesn't see the difference.
That's the DC take on money versus power with a major caveat. He revealed part of it. The writers, whoever they were who wrote that, revealed part of it. But power, ultimate power and control does in fact yield the money, and they are all equally important. Some people think that money is the initial gain. Yeah, but the true power, the true ability to have your finger on all the control, will yield you all the money that you're looking for. So let me go back to this. We were talking about the 25 lies. We talked about the fracking ban. And, I want to play this. Listen to her. This is, again, in her own words.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah.
So, is she in favor of banning fracking? From her own lips to everybody here. The Minnesota Rioters Bail Fund. She went out in Minnesota, wanted to let criminals that killed people burn down Minneapolis. She went out and raised money to get them out of jail. Trump said that. And she shook her head. No one braced her on that, but it's absolutely true. Trump's role in January 6th. Oh, damn it. I don't have it up right now. Jersey Joe sent me this. As a little bit later, maybe I can stall this. I have the original tweet that Trump sent out, which essentially said, go peacefully and respectfully to the White House, to the Capitol. And then they braced him time after time after time. He didn't say that. He wasn't true. That was his role in January 6th. He said on Twitter at the time, do it peacefully, no rioting. It's there for everyone to see. It's a lie. January 6th deaths. She said some police officers died as a result of demonstrations in the Capitol. No officers died that day. Not one. Nothing as a direct result of the rioters. One officer died the next day. One had a heart attack. They didn't die that day. The only person who died that day was Ashley Babbitt. She got shot by then Lieutenant Michael Byrd. And then, of course, the fine people hoax. Trump said there were fine people in all these white supremacists. What that meant was there were fine people on both sides of the equation who were interested in taking statues down. It didn't have anything whatsoever to do with white supremacists, any of that. And then bloodbath. And she lied about the bloodbath. So he wasn't calling for violence. Trump wasn't calling for violence. He was discussing the economic disaster that's awaiting Americans if the Democrats win the election. His comments about NATO. She said the comments that he made claiming that he told Russia it would do whatever the hell it wanted regarding Ukraine. He was the guy who actually got NATO to pay up. That's never happened before. And then autocrats' preferences for president. She claimed the world's autocratic leaders are pulling for Trump. Well, that's a lie, because we already know that Putin already came out and said, I'm for Harris. I'd like to see Harris win. Then she said there is not one member of the United States military who's in an active duty combat zone in any war around the world for the first time this century. That's not true. The United States has troops in Syria. The United States has troops in Yemen. The United States has troops in Iraq. And contrary to popular belief, we have troops that are in Ukraine. Shh, don't tell anybody that we actually have boots on the ground. And also, 3 soldiers were killed in Jordan earlier this year. That's a bold. If that was your son who died in Jordan, you'd be a little torqued that Kamala Harris said, oh, your son, his life didn't mean anything. Those 13 didn't mean anything. Those 4 deaths in Benghazi, what difference does it make? Then she blamed Trump for Biden's botched Afghanistan withdrawal. That is so fundamentally stupid and a lie, I'm not even going to go into it. She said she doesn't support mandatory gun confiscation. That's false. That's a lie. She openly expressed support for that kind of a policy. Trump's foreign policy record. He got our embassy back in Tel Aviv. She says he's weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. Everything that these assholes say, Democrats and leftists, they're accusing you, us, Republicans, conservatives, of the very same things that they're doing. She said, I never advocated defunding the police. Lie. Yes, she did. And IVF, in vitro fertilization. She said, under Donald Trump, abortion bans couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. Except that's a lie. Trump has openly touted IVF and even promised he would make taxpayers fund it. Whether you believe it or not, whether you like it or not, that's what he was saying. Then he said, I've been waiting all night to play this video. Have you seen this one, Kari Baxter Donovan?
I haven't, no.
I bet you everybody over here in chat, in Rumble chat, has said it, but it's so damn good. I'm going to play it. Maybe you don't remember the part where Kamala Harris said, well, you negotiated with the Taliban.
Yeah, I remember when she said that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he did negotiate with the Taliban.
Yeah.
And
Right.
this is what was said.
President Trump looked at the Taliban leader and said this,
Mm-hmm.
I want to leave Afghanistan, but it's going to be a conditions-based withdrawal. And translator translated. And he said, if you harm a hair on a single American, I'm going to kill you. And the translator goes, and Trump goes, tell him that.
Tell him what I said.
Tell him what I said. Reached in his pocket, pulled out a satellite photo of the leader of the Taliban's home and handed it to him.
Shut up.
Got up and walked out the room.
Sure did.
Do you know for 18 months, not a single American was killed in Afghanistan? Sure did. That's the definition of strength. That's what I'm talking about. And so you could imagine that kind of sentiment being around the world. If we have an embassy in another country, no one's going to touch it.
End of statement.
But didn't people know that? No,
No,
of course not.
no. You
But
have to
yeah, I mean,
realize.
that was his negotiation. That's how he negotiates.
I told Lonnie Poindexter when he was here that I was going to steal a phrase from him. And Lonnie, if you're watching right now, consider your phrase thefted. Now, Rush Limbaugh had low information voter. And Lonnie Poindexter has the passionately misinformed. And the bulk, sadly, the bulk of the electorate, and I'm going to be quite frank, the bulk of white female leftists are passionately misinformed. I
nice.
saw this just before the show, and I was looking to see if I could grab it, and maybe for one of next week's shows, I might be able to do it. Or maybe if I decide I'm going to Bigfoot Jersey Joe's show tomorrow, maybe I can get him to play it for me. Jesse Waters customarily has a guy doing what he used to do for Bill O'Reilly, going and doing the microphone in the man on the street and say, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? And then they weigh in.
Right.
His guy, whose name escapes me right now, walked up to a young white female and said, what do you think about Kamala Harris? Oh, she swooned. I love her. I love Kamala. What about the expenses? What about you can't buy a house? What about the price of bread? What about the price of gas? And she literally, her retort was, oh, I don't care about that. I just want people to express the joy that she does. Yeah. That is where altogether way too many Americans, particularly, obviously, white females like that chickie. I've got to find that. That was in Jesse Waters' prime time, and if I can find that, I will. Here's another article that I'm going to go into. What do we have? 16 minutes? There we go. Reuters focus group, undecided voters lean Trump 2-1 after a debate. Now, Kari Baxter Donovan.
Yes.
Tell me what you know about Reuters. I mean, they're a massive right-wing conservative group, aren't they? They're like I almost called it the Jack Birch Society. Yeah, they're like the Jack Birch Society. Isn't Reuters? I mean, they're hard right.
You know, I don't read Reuters. I watch The War Room. I watch The War Room and Real America's Voice. It's where I get all my news all the time. Reuters, no, not a fan. I don't get any of if it's on The War Room, I can tell you all about it.
Okay. Pundits declared VP Harris the clear winner of Tuesday night's debate.
Right.
Former President Trump won 6 of 10 undecided voters in a Reuters focus group. Reuters, row to your boat. Harris only won 3. A New York Times survey of undecideds had similar results. Well, okay, I get that. At this point, though, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that that's not true, that didn't occur, and that all the things that I showed you at the beginning of the show about the debate and who won the debate, these are some of the undecideds, who won the debate. I'm not saying that those things aren't true, but aren't you, Kari Baxter Donovan, like me, kind of wondering, okay, on September 12th in 2024, who at this point, with less than 60 days to go before the presidential vote, who is undecided about Trump or Harris? that's something that maybe you have a response to that.
Well, what a lot of people are talking about right now are what they're calling the low propensity and low information voters. And low information voters are people who start paying attention after Labor Day, is what the low information voters are. And there's a lot of people, actually. There's a lot of them. And Bannon sent out a message the other day from prison that he wanted people to pay attention to TikTok and Taylor Swift. Now, we who follow every detail of politics probably find that very just offensive and annoying. Like, what? Taylor Swift? Who cares about
Yeah,
Taylor
nobody
Swift?
cares about you.
But the problem I think that we have is, like Matt Gaetz pointed out in 2022, the low propensity, low information voters who get their information off of TikTok blew us away in 2022 and ran off with it because nobody was expecting this last minute group of people that aren't showing up in these polls, right? And so this year, what people are really starting to pay attention to is hold on. There's this group of people who are going to come out of nowhere, having been influenced by Taylor Swift on TikTok, of all places. For God's sake, we're trying to be serious grown-ups, right? But the reality is that we have to pay attention to those people. And I think that it's there's a lot of talk about it because they beat us in 2022 with these tactics, but also there's been some people who have been through different groups, making sure to get lined up to tackle them, which is part of the reason why Steve Bannon is in prison right now. So my focus has been really on like Bannon building up these grassroots marketing platforms, fighting back with the stealing. We got to get all the things lined up for getting people out to vote and also making sure that they don't steal a vote at the same time. So this has been my entire focus for the last couple of years. So yeah, as offensive as we find it, like who could possibly not be on Trump's side? There are a lot of people out there still who unfortunately have the right to vote. Maybe they shouldn't, but who do and who are going to go and be influenced by a simple message about Kamala Harris. And what we've been encouraging people to do is for us to come up with simple messages on our side and go find our low propensity voters and do the same thing. Because yeah, they're out there and yeah, they are influenced by nonsense. And yeah, they don't really know the difference. But this year, what we have going for us is the economy is kicking people's butts, and they know that it's got something to do with Joe Biden. Are they going to transfer that to Kamala Harris? Unfortunately, we do have Americans who don't understand that Kamala Harris is just Joe Biden. So that's why the race is very tight. When we could have an intellectual discussion and say, but it's not even close, these two candidates. But that's not the reality of what's going on out in the streets. And so what we need to do is, yeah, just accept it, that there are people, this is going to be a very tight race. And it's insane, isn't it? Isn't that insane to say that?
It is insane to say that.
I know it's insane. I don't even want to say it, but it's the truth.
It's insane that we have to use the economy as a stick to hit people on the head. Don't you see what's going on around you? Why are we in this situation? How did we get into this plight?
Mm-hmm.
How is it that you can't buy eggs or milk or feed for your baby or eggs that are $7 a carton or gas in Los Angeles that still in some locales is $7 a gallon? And then we have blackouts in Southern California, and California is demanding all EVs by 2030. And AI is set to consume 1/3 of all power when it finally comes online. And we're not building crap. And yet we have to take advantage of the economy. We shouldn't have to take advantage of the economy. Everybody should want a good, strong economy, a good, strong America. But those who don't are running on emotions and feelings. And that's a hell of a way to run a government or run a country. It's just not sustainable. And then voting tax, and the Republicans are every bit as guilty as this, voting in more money, extra budgets, extending the, we haven't had a true budget signed off by both parties since 1996.
And BZ, I have to tell you this. You and I were having this same discussion, I think in like 2016. And I said, Trump's going to win. Trump's going to win. Trump's going to win. And we were having the same discussion about the Republicans, but I try to tell people, look, it's a long game. We're doing a lot better than we were when I started really being involved in politics in like 1998 online. I mean, blogging about it. I've been following politics my entire life since my grandmother was screaming about the media and Nixon and telling me things that I was a little teeny tiny baby. What did I know? Anyway, we're doing better though than we used to do. We need everyone to stay engaged, keep the ball moving down the field is my point. Because, think of the John Bonner years. You remember those years, right? We're doing better now than we were then. We have more people on our side. We have more people who understand the politics and getting involved than we did before. But we're not going to, even if Trump gets into office, we're still screwed because of all of the mistakes. So we need people to be prepared for that, I think. And get Trump in office. He's the better choice, obviously. And then be prepared. We have to stay engaged and keep moving the ball down the field on all of these big issues. But I think that the economy is a good place to hit them because Americans, many people are not going to do anything until they're in pain. And the economy is hurting them. So I say exploit it right now for everything that it is. But weren't we having the same conversation about the stupid Republicans years ago? And I said, that's okay, but he's going to get in. Trump's going to get in. Trump's going to get in.
They never seem to learn their lessons, though. Does anyone remember that under Bush, we were in control, meaning the Republicans were in control of the triumvirate?
Mm-hmm.
Bush in the White House, owned the Senate, owned the House, and did nothing with that power.
Well, he passed No Child Left Behind and handed everything over to
the
Ted
Republicans
Kennedy progressives. Yeah,
are
right.
invertebrates. So, okay,
yeah.
Let's say we do get Trump. Okay, fine. You still got to get the House and the Senate, and you somehow have to get the Republicans to coalesce. And if there's one thing the Democrats do is they'll circle the wagons like nobody's business. But I say, and I want to leave this another 5 minutes we got before the show. Folks, as I'm wont to say frequently, all is not lost. Don't think that all is lost. It isn't. There are some indicators that let us know things are changing. Yeah, they're inexorably slow, and would you just hurry up? But we're getting people who are starting to pay attention to drop-off points for ballots, that there are going to be more monitors. There are going to be, and if this is what we have to do to get more lawyers, guns, and money involved in this thing, and if it's lawful, we should do every lawful thing as well, every one of them. And I've got this video, which is kind of illustrative of that. This is CNN after the debate, talking to an individual. This is like 40 seconds or something like that. This one, white female, espouses more common sense than most politicians in a number of years. Let's see if I can get this to play.
What did you see that brought you to a conclusion? I think it's important to remember that we are voting for the leader of our country and not who we like the most or who we want in our wedding party, but who is actually going to make our country better. And we're in an incredibly unique situation where we've had both of the candidates in office before, and we've gotten to see what they would do. And when facts come to facts, my life was better when Trump was in office. The economy was higher, inflation was lower, things were better overall. And now with Kamala's administration, things haven't been so fantastic. And she's saying she can fix the problems that her administration has caused, but I just don't know if I can afford to take that risk.
So I have to add
Does she have
something.
the time to be able to take that risk?
Right. I have to add, I'm so excited to hear that because for 2 years I've been telling women, I don't care if you like Trump or not. We don't vote for our daddies. We're not voting for our boyfriends. And a number of women have just looked at me like that's absolutely offensive. And I'm shocked. And like, well, we're voting for someone who's going to run the business of the country, we're not voting for our husbands, okay? You're not choosing him to be your husband. Finally, right? Women have moved the needle a little. Good. They're not all crazy.
No, they're not. And with that, the fact that we have concluded after 2 hours that not all women are crazy. Excellent point, Kari Baxter Donovan.
Thank you.
It's time to go. I'd like to have you back. Would you be interested in that someday?
Oh, always. I always want to come back and talk to you. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, folks.
for
That
having me.
is Kari Baxter Donovan over there, one each. I am BZ, and let's see if my producer is going to let me do this. Maybe he will. Producer. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening live to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network, shrmedia.com. Wait, where's my sign, my newly made up sign? Go to shrmedia.com. Brand new site, revamped by Sean, Sackhead Sean. You're listening to the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. That's where you need to be. So, promotional consideration is as per normal by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, and also by Shure and Electro Voice microphones, and by Arrakis boards, and Pratt & Whitney engines thrust. You can trust. And tiaras are by My Little Pony. I put up a billboard just a little bit too early. Thanks, you little beggars. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than 10 minutes, about 50 feet from here. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Thanks for listening live. Thanks for listening later in podcast. To all of you, God bless, take care, and be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night,
Jim
Jim
Bob.
Good night, and good luck.